What's up, guys? It's been way too long since I updated you on the 4th gen build. Lots of new mods and updates that have come since last video. I think it was like over a year ago that I updated it. So lots of stuff to go over. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We're gonna do suspension setup. We're gonna do some interior mods that I have, wheels, tires, armor, winch setup, rack setup, bunch of stuff. So it's going to be kind of a long video, but hopefully I can break it down with some timestamps. So if you guys want to just skip ahead to certain sections, I'll figure out how to do that for you guys. So let's get to it. All right, first things first, let's talk about the suspension. I'm still running the Bilstein 5100s, and then I upgraded to some Pro Comp Tacoma springs. These are 750-pound springs, so it helps keep the front end high with the added weight with the bumper and winch and all that. I'm actually pretty happy with this setup. It obviously is still a budget setup compared to most of the ones out there, but it's working pretty good for my needs. So I'm hitting fire roads and doing some trails, a little bit of rock crawling here and there. And it's held up pretty good so far. For upper control arms, I'm running the KSP. So these are basically like the Freedom off-road upper control arms. They come with poly bushings. So make sure if you guys want to run these that the bushings are really well greased, or else they squeak like crazy. Overall, I'm pretty happy with these. They're not very adjustable, so that is one downside compared to the other upper control arms. But for the set, it was like 250 bucks compared to what, like 700 bucks. When these go out, I'll probably upgrade to some nicer ones, but so far so good. Another thing I wanted to mention that I'm actually not running yet are the taco tabs for the lower control arm alignment cams. So those will be sweet. I'm actually going to have a separate video explaining those, kind of like an install video, so that will be pretty cool. But let's hop onto the rear and talk about suspension back there. So for the rear suspension, it's all pretty much stock as far as lower control arms and panhard. Springs in the rear are another Amazon special. They're called Raptor series. These are their Overland series, I think is what it is. It's a heavy duty rear spring for, you know, drawer systems and rear bumpers. I'm pretty happy with them. It holds the rear up. I actually have a little bit of a rake. It's like a 1/2 inch taller in the rear. And then obviously I'm still running my Bilstein 5100s in the rear. So that's it for suspension setup. Let's talk a little bit about my body lift. All right, before I dive into the body lift, I did want to mention that I did a full sway bar delete. So I'm not running any sway bars. I didn't really notice a change because I'm running such high load rated springs. So drivability on the road didn't really change. There is a little more body roll in the corners, but it's not a race car anyways, so you drive it differently, obviously. I get a lot more flex. I don't have to worry about, you know, sway bar extension links or anything like that. Let's dive into my body mount, my body lift, and then the body mount chop and things like that. As far as my body lift, it's just a 1 inch. It's just a custom body lift that I fabricated myself. So we have the 1 inch spacers all the way around. I got some heavy duty, they're grade 8 bolts. They're actually a little thicker than stock ones, so in my opinion it's a little stronger. My body mount chop is pretty aggressive compared to most people, but that's because I don't have adjustable upper control arms to push the tire out more. All right, so for armor, we've got my custom front bumper. That's a Garage Fab special. I opted for the tri-hoop to give a little more headlight protection. It's got reinforced frame mounts here that are both welded and bolted on. Radiator skid plate. It houses the Harbor Freight 12,000 pound Badland winch. I'm actually running a wireless conversion kit on that winch. These are another Garage Fab. I actually picked these up off my buddy Phil. He's got a straight axle swap 4th gen on like 40s. He lives up the street from me. So I bought these off him, welded up new mounts, and now that I have the body lift, I'm actually gonna move them up an inch and kick them up like 7 degrees, I think. So I'll figure that out. Rear bumper is in the works. Just gotta find a day to fab it up. But let's talk about some lighting and we'll go over the Snorkel. These are Amazon special. Basically everything on this rig is either Amazon or custom fab. So Amazon knockoff Baja designs, I'll link those below. These are awesome fog lights. They're actually super bright. So I got the amber to cut through the fog and it looks sweet. Then got my Raptor lights. These I actually got from AutoZone and cut them out into my grill. This is a custom DIY grill that I built a while back. It's starting to crack and stuff, so I'm gonna redo it. I'm actually gonna do the 5th gen TRD Pro overlay on this section, so I'll have another separate video talking about that because it is a hot topic. Up here on the rack I got my ditch lights. Those are just some cheap LED pods off Amazon. Down here in the cross member, which I'm actually going to be cutting out soon, I have these flush mount pod lights. Those are insanely bright. Then I got my chase bar up here, and this chase bar probably deserves its own video as well. Got a ton of strobe functions. This is the red, yellow, white version because they make ones with red and blue, amber, orange, bunch of different lighting color options. But it basically is just a standard chase light that I wired into my tail lights. So I have my blinker functions, my brake functions, and then reverse light functions on this one, as well as the strobe hazard lights. These are all on their own dedicated switch. So fog lights, rear lights, side lights. Then down here I have my chase light, which that turns on the bar. If you hold that down for 3 seconds, it just gives you your brake light functions. And then if you come and tap this a bunch of times, it goes through the different hazard lights. As you can see there, super bright. Here's the cockpit. I'm running this iBolt tablet mount for my maps and navigation. I have a Samsung Tab A and I just use downloaded maps. For my daily driving, I use Google Maps. Got my phone map here. I got my CB radio here. That has a bracket that's actually bolted to the transmission tunnel under the carpet. And then I have my little cigarette lighter port that has USB options, and then cigarette lighter for phone charging and for my dash cam up here. So, and then here's my wireless remote. Super nice to have. You can stow it away, you just hold the button and then you have full winch control. So got this too, just for recovery situations. I've been in a few that, like up in the snow near Tahoe, someone slides off the road or whatever and you gotta help them. The visibility is low. This is just a strobe light that strobes amber, so I can put that on my front windshield, and that way people will be able to see me when I'm having to do recoveries in low visibility areas. Here's my drawer system. It's like 3/4 of the way done. I want to do some wings on the side that flip up and down, little cubby sections. I need to build my other drawer, and then I want to make like a flip out sleeping section. But I need to figure out what to do there because I'm worried there's not enough clearance for something to flip up, you know. So what we have here is just like a DIY drawer guide. So it's just inch square tubing, That's hard mounted to the box itself. And then, as you can see here, I'm running skateboard bearings, and these are bolted all the way through. It slides out without any effort, really. Obviously it's not loaded up yet, but we'll see how that goes. Then these are the handles I'm using, just flush mount spring loaded handles. And then I'm gonna add some kind of pin system that locks into this tube in those holes here, so I can lock it at full extension and lock it in so it's not wiggling around while I'm driving. I have my roof attic. Thing's pretty sweet for jackets and sleeping bags and things like that. This is my cheapo fridge. It really is just a cooler with a little fan. I got this at Goodwill for $6. This specific model is like 120 bucks or something online. I was looking, but it just has a cigarette lighter. I mean, it keeps it cool with the fan, but you still got to use ice. So I might get an Amazon fridge. We'll see. So roof rack is actually the same as my first budget build 4th gen video. It's a garage fab once again. I made this mount for my traction boards. You just twist these on and it locks it down, and then I've got just a normal lock here. It's more just to deter people from trying to break it loose. I've got my Thule snowboard rack. I am actually a really big advocate on using these for all sorts of stuff. I use them for fishing rods. I use them obviously for shovels. Basically anything that fits on there and isn't like super heavy. These are perfect. Like, you know, you don't have to go off and buy all these mounts for shovels and axes and all this stuff. You know, these things work awesome. You know, it just clamps down on your shovel, and then they obviously lock, so you know, you can lock down whatever you need. Here's the Snorkel. This is an eBay special, Land Cruiser 100 series low profile snorkel. It's routed all the way through, obviously. Only modifications I had to do was cut the elbow joint that came with the kit, and then it's a lot of fitment. You gotta eyeball stuff because the template isn't made for a 4th gen. So, you know, I basically made my own template, bolted it up. The only fitment issue is down here. There's a little bit of gap, but no one ever notices that, and it's underneath, so no one can see. And I love the look of the low profile. And then the A-pillar mount just has this bracket that is bolted to the A-pillar right there. So I'm running a 16-inch Land Cruiser 80 series wheel, and then I'm running 315 75/16 Nito ridge grapplers. These tires are freaking sweet. There's honestly no road noise compared to my old ones. I'm running 1.5-inch wheel spacers in the rear, 2-inch in the front. The reason being is when you lift these things at about 3 inches to 3.5 inches, it brings the tires in closer together. So I compensated that with a 2-inch in the front, 1.5 inches in the rear. That makes my track width the same front to back. So super happy with these tires. You got to be careful running 16s on 4th gens though, because sport editions, limited editions, those have bigger calipers, so you got to run a 17-inch tire. I forgot the caliper code, but honestly I have a lot of braking power with just the SR5 calipers, so I didn't want to do a brake upgrade. And I love the look of a 16-inch wheel on a 35-inch tire. It gives it a lot more sidewall. So that's the setup.